Hello, Hopper class, and welcome to your second science lesson for this week. I hope you enjoyed the last lesson with planting. Let me see. Ooh, not much has happened in one day. Still only soil, but I'm pretty sure by next science lesson, next week, we'll have something to see. So let's start with today's lesson. So who remembers learning about the human body last year? Hopefully all of you. So yeah, last term in science, we learned about the human body, and we learned about the different parts of the human body and how we need certain parts in order to move, in order to survive, in order to live. So just like us, like we have our heart and our stomach and different parts, our arms, our legs, a plant also has different parts. And lots of you knew lots of the parts of the flower and the trees from our cold task last week. So today we are going to learn about the different parts of a flower and what they're for. So can you first remember some of the names of these flowers on the screen? So when I move it, I'm going to shout it out. What's this one? Oh, well done. If you said rose, sunflower, daffodils, well done. These ones we'll see pretty soon in the spring. Tulips. Oh, you're right. And those are daisies. Well done. So we need to make sure we remember the names of some of these common plants that we see growing around. So let's try and put these parts of the flower together. So who remembers what is the name of the brightly colored part of a flower? You shout it out? Well done. If you said petal, my turn, your turn. Petal, petal. Great. What about these? What are these green parts of the flower? Well done. If you said the leaf, leaf. Or if you have more than one, they would be leaves, leaves. Right, and what do we call this long bit in the middle? Super. I think I heard some of you say stem, stem. Fantastic. And the bottom, we have the roots, roots. Fantastic. So we are going to sing a really fun, short little song to help us remember. So it goes to the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down. So we can go petal, leaf, and stem and roots, stem and roots, stem and roots, petal, leaf, and stem and roots. These are the parts of a flower. Okay? Do you think you can do it? So we'll start at the top and we'll go down. Okay? Let me hear you sing. Ready? Petal, leaf, and stem and roots, stem and roots, stem and roots, petal, leaf, and stem and roots. These are the parts of a flower. Fantastic. Okay. So what does each of these parts do? Well, we know we have petals and stems and leaves and roots. What do they actually do? Can anyone have a think? What do you think the petal does? What about the stem? What about the leaf? What about the roots? Now, just like our body, all of our parts of our body have a function. They're all used for something. So our ears, remember our 5 senses we learned? Our ears are for hearing. Our nose is for smelling. Our eyes are for seeing. Our hands are for touching. And our mouth is for tasting. That's right. So those are our 5 senses. That's what we, those are their functions. So what is the function of each part of a flower? Let's have a look. So, oh, look at these pictures. Why does a flower have petals? So why does a flower have pretty petals? So let's have a look. In these pictures, I've got a nice, maybe a sunflower in that one, and we've got some bumblebees, and we have some hummingbirds and butterflies. Whoa, why do flowers have petals? So lots of petals make up a flower. So if you look, we're going to be looking at this a little bit later. lots. This flower has lots of petals, and that makes up the flower part of the flower. And they attract bees and insects. Now, if you look at these pictures, we've got beautiful purple flowers, pink flowers, orange and yellow flowers. So my flower is a pinky color. So petals are they are bright, colorful. They're orange and yellow because that then attracts all of the bees and the insects, the butterflies to come and suck out all the nectar, and then they're able to take it. And they pollinate each flower as they take the pollen from one flower and they go to another one and another one. So petals need to be bright and colorful so it attracts all the bees and the insects. Okay. What about leaves? Why does a flower have leaves? Got my flower here. Why does it have leaves? Do you know? Well, leaves play an important part in how a flower grows. The sun has an extremely important effect on plants. In fact, they cannot live without it. So since they use the energy from the sunlight for photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis allows the plant to absorb all the energy from the sun, but it does that through the leaves, which then converts that energy into food. So without the leaves, there would be no food for the flower. So the leaves help make food. And they're usually quite big so that when the sun is shining, the leaves can absorb as much energy from the sun. So what does a flower have? Why does a flower have leaves? It's to absorb lots of energy from the sun, and then it can convert that energy into food. So the leaves help make food. What about the stem? Why does a flower have a stem? If you were to think about our bodies, what do we have that helps us to stand up straight? If we didn't have it, we would fall over. Do you remember? Well done if you said your spine or if you said your bones. So we have bones in our bodies, we have our spine, which helps us to stand up. You think that's why a flower has a stem? Let's see. The stem job is to help the plant stand up. Also, the stem is the elevator that takes the food and water to the rest of the plant. So the flower is in the soil and the stem sucks up the water and the food, and it's able to bring it to the leaves, bring it to the rest, and bring it up here to the flower, to the bud, which then creates the flower and it opens from the sun. So the stem's job is to help the flower stand up, and you think about it like an elevator. It takes the water and the food up to the rest of the plant. Now the last part of our flower, roots. Why does a flower have roots? What do the roots do? If we think about those 5 factors of every plant that needs to grow, we said it had to have space. So do you remember, we need space when we do our plant because the roots, they hold the plant in place, they take in water from the soil, and they take in food from the soil. So we've got our flower, it's in the soil. The roots then suck up the water, but then the water gets to the stem, and the stem continues to suck up the water, to suck up all the food that the roots have brought in from the soil. And also, if it didn't have roots, then I can't stand, if I just had this flower on my hand, it would just fall over. So it has the roots, so the roots then get a hold into the soil, and that makes it strong. So if you can see from our photo, those are all the roots that are stuck really deep into the soil to help it from falling over. So let's see what you can remember. So the petal, what's the petal for? Can you remember? Well done if you say that. Lots of petals make up a flower and they attract the bees and the insects, and they need to be nice and colorful. What about the leaf or the leaves? This was the trickier one. Do you remember what it's used for? Well done if you said takes the energy from the sun to help make food. And the stem, what is the stem used for? Right, just stand up straight. So it helps the flower stand up straight, and it's like an elevator for the water. And the roots, well done if you said you find the roots find the water and the food in the ground, and they help it to stand up, help it to stay strong in the ground. Okay, so this is your activity. If you were able to get a flower, then what I want you to do is, if you have a magnifying glass at home, don't worry if you don't. If you have a magnifying glass, you can look at your flower under the magnifying glass. And the magnifying glass is a scientific tool, and it helps us see more detail into what we're looking at. So what I would like you to do is first slowly take the petals off the flower. So you take them off one by one. Just take them off, and you might want to make them into a little pile. So first, take all the petals off the flower, and you can see, if you take a look, find the camera, if you look, so you can see that's my little petal, and that's the little part that connects it to the flower bud. So I first want you to take off very gently all the petals. And then once you've taken off all the petals, then I want you to slowly pull off the leaves. And once you've done all of that, then you should just be left with the stem, and then you'll have the flower bud part at the top. So what I would like you to do is, then I want you to look at the different parts that you have. Look at the petals, look at the leaves, and look at the stem. Now also, you might have, because my flower had big leaves and it also had little leaves. So then what I want you to do is, if you can, don't worry if you can't, but if you can glue these onto a piece of paper, and then you can label them. So just like in this picture, I'll make it a bit bigger for you. So you can glue on the petal and write petal, leaf, stem. So you can glue them on. And then if you'd like to have a challenge, I would like you to then describe what it does. So I might say, I might have petal, and I would write attracts insects. And then I might put my leaf. I might put it collects energy from the sun, or it makes food for the plant. And then you've got your stem. And what does that do? So if you don't have a flower, so don't worry, if you don't have a flower, then what I would like you to do is answer these questions. So you've got 6 questions, so you can either tell the grown-up that you were with the answer, or you could write them down. You can just write number 1 and write the answer. It doesn't need to be in full sentences. You can just write the answer, and then you can take a picture on tapestry, take a picture and put it on tapestry of the answers. So if you want to do the questions, then pause the video here, because I'm going to go back to the other slide. So pause the video here so you can answer these questions. And this is if you don't have a flower to dissect, okay? So if you have the flower, I want you to go slowly, take each petal off, have a look, glue them down, label them, and then you can take a picture of that and put it on tapestry for me. I would really love to see it. Okay, now, if you have answered the questions, then I'm going to just go over the answers. Okay, so if you would like to look at the questions as well, then you can pause the video, but the next slide now, I'm going to go over all the answers, okay? So, number 1, what part of the flower helps it to stand up? Well done if you said the stem. Why does the flower need sun? To help make food from the leaves. So the sun has energy, and the leaves change that energy into food. Why are the petals colorful? To attract insects to pollinate. What part of the flower takes in water for the flower? The roots. Well done. The roots take in the water. What is the part that helps convert the energy from the sun into food? Well done if you said leaves or the leaf. And number 6, what would happen if the flower was planted in not a lot of soil? The roots wouldn't be able to take hold, and it would probably fall over. Okay, so you might have seen on this slide down here, it said, play the flower game. Okay, so let me stop sharing. The flower game is just like the bean game. Do you remember doing the bean game? So we'd have string bean, broad bean, runner bean, jumping bean, string bean. So this time we're going to do it with parts of the flower, okay? So let's see if Mrs. Savage can stand up and you can see me as well. Okay, so parts of the flower. Let's start at the top. So the top we have the petals. So these are going to be your petals. And then what do we have? Leaves. So then I want you to put your arms out like this, and those will be your leaves, okay? And the stem, we're going to be as straight as we can because we're the stem. And then for the roots, think of your fingers as the roots, and you can get down on your, crouch down, and you can have your hands like that for roots. Okay, so let's try. Petals, stem, leaves, petals, stem, leaves, roots. And so you have your hands like that. Think what you could do that? Okay, so I'm going to shout out some names, and I want you to do the action. Petals, stem, petals, leaves, stem, petals, leaves, roots, petals, stem, leaves. So you have your arms like a leaf. Roots, woo, roots, petals. Okay, whew, I'm getting warmed up. So if you want to continue playing that game at home, then just get your mom or dad or whoever you're with, big brother or sister, to tell you the parts of a flower, and you can do the actions. So I hope you've enjoyed your second science this week on dissecting the flower, looking at the parts of the flower and what they are used for. So next week, we will look at our bean, and it'll be week 2. So next science lesson next week, we're going to draw another picture on that sheet. So keep that sheet of paper that we did from yesterday. Keep it safe. And I hope you have a good week, and I will see you again soon. Bye.